It's no accident that Ali built his cafe on the very edge of the desert. He knows that any adventurer into the Sahara will always take this road. Ali sells water, coffee and Coke, but trading has been slow today. On top of that, he's heard worrying news on the radio. Unlikely though it sounds, there's snow in neighboring Egypt, which could threaten the desert's main event, a festival that attracts thousands of tourists. The mild desert winter is when business usually peaks and when the Sahara rarely comes to life. Tunisia, a small wedge-shaped slice in the north of perhaps the most famous desert on Earth. This small country is known as the Sahara Gate. For 50 years, the annual desert festival has taken place here. It's an event that draws people from all surrounding countries. These people's lives are deeply intertwined with the desert. For many, preparations for the festival began 6 months ago. They've gone deep into the desert every day on an exhaustive training schedule. The main event is camel racing. Any prize in a sprint race is a great honor, but winning the 42-kilometer marathon is considered especially prestigious. The young boys in the small town of Duz dream of such a victory. Seemingly endless sand dunes begin just beyond the town's borders. Like every other man in the region, Ahmed hopes to win. 2 years ago, he and his camel came first in a sprint race.
I'm confident about this part of the race because my camel is quite familiar with the area. I do have some doubts about the long-distance marathon, though. I haven't entered it before with this camel.
Because the festival only takes place once a year, Ahmed needs to make a living for himself and his camel. So he dons makeup and colorful national costume to pose as an exotic sultan for tourists, which is particularly popular with some women travelers. His camel, though, is less than impressed. He's a pedigree racer and only interested in entering competitions. He frequently and loudly expresses his disapproval. Omar's life is centered on his camels in the desert.
I love this. This is in my life. This is in my care, and my heart. Doing that. No, my camel. This is not working in tourist. No, this is for racing. This is my friend. Is everything for me in life, because this camel loved me for one time. This camel like me.
Omar has always shared a special relationship with his camels. There was a time when he trained these beautiful creatures to appear in a Hollywood movie that was filmed in the Sahara.
For movie, it is named Black Gold. I am work with Antonio Banderas, Tahar Rahim, Mark Strong. These people, I give training in the camel in Tunisia, in this place in the Hammamet.
In last year's marathon, Omar came first, but no one can tell how the race will end this winter. Many people are surprised to learn that it rains in the Sahara. The stereotypical image of the desert is one of endless sand, but there's more to the desert than that. An untrained eye could easily miss what's hiding in the rocks. These people's ancestors, seeking shelter from enemies, began to live in caves. There's no one to hide from now, but cave dwellings are still widely used. They are warm in winter and cool in summer, and if you need more space, you can always hollow out another room. The big advantage, though, is that dwellings like this are cheap. This family used to have only one cave, but a few years ago, they occupied another. They have gas and electricity, modern furniture and bathrooms. The water supply, though, can only be used for domestic purposes. They get their drinking water the same way their ancestors did. When it rains, water collects in special reservoirs. And in winter, there's quite a lot of rain.
Summer is better for us than winter, because in winter it's hard looking after the animals. It is too slippery.
The next cave is for animals to live in. Zina is in charge of the whole household. She looks after her elderly mother-in-law and a daughter-in-law who's not well.
Desert life is more difficult for women, but the men don't have it easy either. We all have to do the agricultural jobs, and it's really hard.
Ibtisam, Zina's elder daughter, helps with everything. The Berber people are native to North Africa. They have witnessed the rise and fall of several civilizations and still manage to preserve their language and traditions. Perhaps because the places they've always inhabited were hard to reach. The modern road to these caves was only built 15 years ago. Now tourists come regularly and are always welcome.
All days look the same to us because they're filled with problems and work. We have to work all the time.
Zina has never visited the festival. She has no time for celebrations, although it's not much more than 100 kilometers along a good road from here. Zina will not go into the desert, but the Sahara may well be coming to Zina. The mighty desert is constantly expanding. Along the southern borders, it's growing at almost 50 kilometers per year. Zina's husband is among those who are trying to contain the advancing sand. To hold back the dunes at least a little, he builds fences from palm leaves. Despite these efforts, the desert is slowly but surely gaining ground. Every winter, Riyadh opens a unique desert camp, and not without good reason. It's open from October until March in the very heart of the Sahara. In the height of summer, the region is scorching, with air temperatures reaching 50 degrees Celsius, and the sand a staggering 80 degrees.
Everything in this camp took a lot of effort. Nothing is easy out here. Merely existing here is very tough.
Water is brought from an oasis 23 kilometers away. Tents are set up so that Europeans will be comfortable, but the know-how is borrowed from Bedouins, the nomads of the desert.
There are Berber carpets in every tent. We put them there in case a scorpion or some insect tries to get inside. The rugs tend to stop them because they don't like crawling over the rough surface of a carpet.
There are no generators or electricity in the camp. The light comes exclusively from candles, the sun, moon, and stars. In every tent, there's a toilet that uses wood shavings instead of water.
Now we're flattening the tires to make them wider. That will enable us to get through. If we didn't do that, we wouldn't be able to climb up.
For many years, Riyadh used to take part in rallies, but then the desert took from him the most precious part of his life, his 10-year-old son. The boy always went with him on extreme races, but in what would be his last, Riyadh lost control of the car on a dune. The vehicle rolled upside down, killing the young passenger. Riyadh hasn't entered a single race since. He found a place in the desert where the sand is a glorious pink, where sunsets and sunrises are exceptional. And that's where he created this unique camp, in memory of his child. This group of Austrian adventurers has been struggling to get out of a sand trap for half an hour. Their minivan stuck fast in the sand close to Riyadh's camp. After successfully bringing the tourists across the whole of Eastern Europe, they thought it would be a good idea to take it to the Sahara too. But the desert isn't known for its forgiving nature. Only the Bedouins are able to navigate this constantly changing landscape. For generations, they've grown up learning the many secrets of Sahara survival. Most are passed from generation to generation, but others can only be learned by trial and error. Of course, there's no mobile connection in the desert for hundreds of kilometers. But after climbing this mountain and rounding this rock, travelers find an unusual kind of telephone booth where they can call home, perhaps for the latest news about the festival. Omar's house is full of guests. They're from Algeria and are both friends and rivals.
This is a friend from Algeria. His name Hamida. Yeah. This is my father. Yeah. And this is Bilhaj Muhammad from Algeria. And this camel is #1 for last year from him.
We've lived in the desert since childhood. In the village of Ksailan, most of the people there breed camels. Omar has been working with them since he was a child. You could say Bedouin life, the desert and camels are in his blood.
This is camel for my friend Algerian. This #1 for all marathon. People French, Tunisian, Algerian. This is #1.
Yeah. And this one?
This is the new camel in this year. This is for last year's and come for this year's. This is new and this is new. Everything is new camel in Algeria. This is #1. My camel is #1 from Tunisia. This festival is very hard race. I don't know who can come #1 or #2.
The festival begins tomorrow. There will be sprint racing on the first day and then the day of the marathon, the major competition that everyone wants to win. A morning march through the streets of Duz opens the festival. Imed poses for tourists to take photographs. Omar didn't go to the square. You might think that he's unconcerned about all the festival excitement. His day begins as it always does, with morning coffee instead of newspapers or TV news, always at the same time and in the same cafe. It's an Arab man's traditional ritual. They'll discuss the future, horses and camels. Today, though, brings a new topic for conversation. The eagerly anticipated sprint races take place after lunch. In Tunisia, the desert takes many forms, often in close proximity to each other. This one is among the most desolate and unforgiving. A dry salt lake, where the combination of salt and sand allows no chance for any living creature. In this salt valley, a mirage is easily mistaken for reality. Mohammed El-Abed was practically raised on date palm. He's worked at this oasis since childhood, a full 40 years. Climbing a tree to find a phone signal is perfectly normal to him. Mohammed's life revolves around these palm trees. He climbs them to pick the fruit or collect palm juice. Harvesting palm juice is a rare event, as it's quite literally the last thing a palm tree will ever give. After it stops bearing fruit, all fluid still in the tree is extracted before the trunk is cut down. The juice is nectar sweet, and a little yeast turns it into a unique and refreshing sparkling palm wine. It's a delicacy that is almost impossible to buy in shops because it can't be kept for long. It very quickly turns sour. There are 2 seasons every year when Mohammed's workload becomes even more than usual. Like a bee, in fact. Of the many palm trees in the oasis, only 2 are male. Mohammed and his colleagues must climb to the top of every single one to pollinate the females with a special brush. Only then can a crop of tasty dates be assured. Respect for the date palm is passed on from generation to generation.
My father always said palm trees were everything to us. They're what we mainly live off.
Dates are the region's most valuable and lucrative exports, but that's not the only reason they're so important. No other agriculture would be possible in the oasis without the palms. If not for the shade provided by the tall trees, other produce like oranges, lemons, tomatoes and lettuce would never be able to survive under the scorching Sahara sun.
The oasis started to change in the 90s. It used to be better, a lot more beautiful, and there was more water. The main problem is that there's much less water here now compared to earlier times.
This complex irrigation system uses millions of liters of water every day. 15 different wells supply water to Mohammed's plants. Connecting them is a challenge, but his ancestors came up with a solution as long ago as the 13th century. Desert survival has been a continuing battle for many hundreds of years. It's been estimated that there are more than 100 varieties of date in Tunisia alone. Many believe that these fruits of the palm contain everything you need for life, and people could survive for some time on nothing but dates. The perfect food for a nomadic lifestyle, they're light, nutritious, and can withstand the harsh desert sun. In Duz, people have lunch at noon, after prayers. Today, they'll have only a quick snack. There's no time to waste because the festival is about to begin. Racing camels are fed a special diet including wild millet, grass, and even olive oil. On the morning before the race, the camels will be treated to a little water, an apple, and an orange. Oranges are thought to be particularly good for camels, although strangely, the animals don't seem to like them. It's no easy task to stop a camel spitting out unwanted fruit. Despite being an important day, the desert has yet another challenge in store. By lunchtime, a strong western wind appeared. Desert winds can be extremely powerful, sometimes reaching speeds of 100 kilometers per hour. A sandstorm can appear from nowhere in a matter of minutes, strong enough to knock you over. The wind blows sand into your lungs, and it's almost impossible to see anything at all. Many years of experience has produced nothing more suited to desert life than a turban. National costume is still respected in this area, where people may saddle their camel and venture deep into the desert for several days, with nothing more than a tent, water, dates, and a turban. Perhaps they're being called by their ancestors, or it's the lure of the desert itself. Maybe it's just a passion for the nomadic desert life. Just like centuries ago, they shelter from the wind behind their camels, and just like their ancestors, treat these graceful animals with respect. Despite being known as Camel Day, horses and dogs also play a part. But camels will always be the main attraction. It's an event that has been running in Tunisia for almost 50 years. There are visitors and participants from far and wide: Algeria, Libya, Oman, Saudi Arabia. The winner of the 42-kilometer marathon will receive a cash prize, but money's not the real motive here. Winning races, especially the marathon, is a matter of honor and prestige. Omar was last year's winner.
Maybe I am not his number one today. Maybe I am his number two, I am number three, and number four. I don't know. This is, oh my God. Maybe another time as I am number one. Yeah. In my heart. This is very fast. This is now is have not good feeling. Means after, I don't know.
Everyone's ready for festivities to begin, but there's a delay. The country's president is expected at the festival. He's traveling from the capital to be here in his original hometown. At last, the head of state arrives, and the festival can get underway. A horse theatre, hunting contests and camel fighting are some of the spectacles to be found at this festival. Fighting is only possible in winter. During the summer mating season, male camels become particularly aggressive. They'll fight for the females, and without human intervention to pull them apart, it might not end until one of the beasts is killed. Today's main event is a 1,800-meter sprint. The riders urge their camels to gallop as fast as they can. The maximum speed of these animals is 45 kilometers per hour. The first camel crosses the finish line in a few minutes. The second, and then the third. Omar is not among the winners. Something's gone wrong.
I out for racing. I stopped there.
You out?
Yeah.
Why?
Because it's having horses. Horses come and out and enter for the wood and the camel. And my camel is scared.
Omar's camel also seems a little upset.
This camel, you know what you do, what you can do, everything, you understand? Yeah.
Tomorrow sees the festival highlight, the Desert Marathon, the race in which Omar was last year's winner.
That is camel number one is last year's. That camel. Look, that camel there. This is number one for last year. Today, I don't know.
Marathon Day. Nothing else is happening at the festival. Everyone is focused on this key race. There were 46 runners last year, now there are 28, but competition will still be intense. Many of the riders are former champions who know the taste of victory. Imad has never won the marathon, but his camel is ready for action. The animals are examined by vets. The marathon is a serious test of both the camel's stamina and its ability to deliver a final surge. It's not uncommon for a camel to be so tired by the end of the long-distance race that the rider has to dismount and lead the beast of burden by hand. When tired, these noble ships of the desert will often disobey their riders. When the race begins, they conserve energy. They still have 3 hours of desert ahead of them. Omar didn't win this year, but in the Sahara, people acquire a philosophical approach to life's victories and defeats. When the festival ends, Omar will take his camel into the desert for several days. Deep in the Sahara, the modern world seems less significant, and the problems of the city futile. Life takes on a very different meaning for those who live in the desert.